Hey everybody, welcome to the Daily Space Weather. I'm your host Dan, aka smAsho. We'll be talking LOLZ, about masks, Carbonyl Sulfide. Haven't heard about that for a while. Cosmology, big tech, Schmig Schmeck. First we're going to look at the sun. Here's a 304 angstroms 48-hour SDO video, the Solar Dynamics Observatory. And this is ionized helium, and we see one sunspot. It's sunspot 2770, located right about there. Next we're going to look at some HelioViewer specific movies. And here you can see a little bit of field orientation associated with sunspot 2770. We have a slightly increased probability of solar flares since it's formed, as it's been a beta class sunspot. Some of these trailing umbrae here are opposite polarity. Next, a 304 angstroms view of the same area. Oops. There we go. Great view in ionized helium. Also some filaments looking like they've collapsed. And let's do a quick check for coronal mass ejections. And we don't see any. So there's the view from stereo A. You can see Mercury. And if a YouTube channel should happen to take this image right here and suggest that this is some sort of an explosion from the sun, tell them that they should understand optics a little better than that, because that's obviously not part of the corona, but up close to the instrument, like a plasma insect, not like part of the corona. All right, so anyway, back to 304 angstroms. There's that sunspot again, that's 2770. Lastly, here's the view in 171 angstroms, and we did see once again a B-class flare happen right at midnight. You actually see it right there. I guess you couldn't see it. Anyway, there was a small B-class solar flare, which probably came from this sunspot. And let's move on. 10.7 centimeter radial flux is still at 73. So there's the current state of affairs with sunspot number. And sorry to all you folks who were praying for zero sunspots all year. Planetary K index, the KP, is at 1. For you new viewers, it's a measurement of global geomagnetism. So there, oh, I apologize. That solar flare was yesterday morning, just after midnight. No X-ray flares in the past 24 hours. No proton events either, but we have this here as solar activity increases. We see a higher likelihood of proton events. And while that loads, let me just make sure the stream is good. And again, we are streaming live. It's twitch.tv/smAsho. If you haven't subscribed over there, perhaps check it out. And we stream live to this platform because it is so good. Here's a real-time solar wind data. The phi angle is around 180 degrees. We'll look for coronal holes at the end of the video. Solar wind density, 5.3 protons per cubic centimeter. Solar wind speed ramped down over the past day, having reached a high of around 530, now down to about 450. More of a nominal solar wind speed there. And we expect the electron flux levels to soar. By the way, there are power outages. According to poweroutage.us, quite a ton of them. Over 400,000 in New York, 300,000 in New Jersey, nearly 500,000 out in Connecticut, and about 30,000 in Massachusetts and Pennsylvania combined. Next, looking at the geospace magnetosphere movie, looking at the magnetohydrodynamic pressure here, as illustrated by the space weather modeling framework. This gives you a fairly good idea of what's going on. We see multiple Van Allen belts forming there in the bow shock region. No surprises there, as we have high electron flux levels. And that kind of gives you multiple plasma spheres. You'll end up with a plasma sphere down here and another differently diffuse plasma sphere here. And that's kind of just the way that works. You get more pressure and you end up with, as long as you have a lot of electrons there, you end up with significant double layers, apparently. Next, looking at ground magnetic perturbations. And we see a little movement there. Nothing too significant. Again, the solar wind's been ramping down, so most magnetism you would see in perturbations here would be pure magnetism, not induction based from protons. And it's another Smash Light segment. Let's do it! Let's do it! Now, one of the things that we like to do here is number 6. And number 6, it all fits together, folks. Number 6 is to assist mankind by advancing the study of predictive phenomenon in order to optimize value, reduce risk and liability, save lives and resources, and adapt, no matter what the adversity is. Yes, no matter what the adversity is. And speaking of adversity, I think I just missed some slides. That's just wonderful. We're not going back, folks. We're not going back. Let's talk about some adversity. Tom Wolfe is adversity. Tom Wolfe represents adversity, as does Pennsylvania Physician General Dr. Rachel Levine. And regarding PennDOT, oh, good God, don't even get me started. Now, government officials want you to be accountable for everything, but they don't want to be accountable for anything, which is why you may have to hold them accountable. And if you do, you might even be able to find free legal representation at places such as the Southern Poverty Law Center, the ACLU, the American Civil Liberties Union. And for all you conservatives out there, you might not like these organizations, but they will still back you up if you have a valid case and standing. And also the Institute for Justice. So hold your public officials accountable. And if you've got policies you don't like, make sure you contact your legislators for where you're located and so on. Thanks to our patrons for being the real source of funding for the content. Please tell your friends and foes, science noobs and science pros, to support us as well, as we're tanking over here, to put it simply. We've also got a Subscribestar account and various other ways to support the channel via the links. Again, we are streaming live to Twitch. It's twitch.tv/smAsho. Take a moment to press like and subscribe if you're viewing over on YouTube. And for all you BitChute subscribers, stop unsubscribing. Anyway, we're still over 200 subs over there, and we receive hundreds more views on BitChute daily than we do on YouTube. Yesterday's Smash Lights reached 314. And by the way, this one here, the one about flooding and explosions in Beirut and so on, got demonetized on YouTube, yes. Let's talk about other social media links. If you head to smashomash.org, you'll see our affiliate, our Smash store, where you can buy the Smash merch, and the Smash forum. If you click this little arrow, you'll see all the social media. So there's Patreon, YouTube, we're on Twitter, Gab, there's a PayPal. Also, BitChute, of course, Twitch, Instagram, locals. It's smashomash.locals.com, Facebook, and a Facebook group called Entropy Busters, as we try to bust entropy. If you haven't checked out smashomash.com/forum, check that out. Up to over 1,400, nearly 1,410 users now. And we've got a new post here. Somebody posting vivarium. And that's one of our newest users there. Thanks, Sunny Today. I have a feeling you're located in Oviedo, Florida. Let me just take a guess. A wild, wild guess. Vivarium. Anyway, that's I liked it. It's very demonic and pretty spooky. I thought it was great. Now, check out our affiliate link. If you haven't, you may be able to see brilliant products like this, the pulse oximeter. Yes, I'm giving you the finger right now. And there you go. I'm all excited at a pulse rate of 84 with a 96 blood oxygen. We'll be doing tests on the pulse oximeter at a later time. So if you need one of those, use our affiliate link to purchase it. It's $29.95. It's eligible for Amazon Prime. It's got this lovely neck lanyard so you can connect and disconnect it easily, like if you're a nurse, for instance. We're also advertising L-lysine, methylsulfonylmethane, which we'll be talking about carbonyl sulfide later, almond flour, a combination of magnesium, zinc, and calcium, which we take nightly, and shoe goo, which is actually on the way to repair shoes and other things that require flexible glue that's under wear and tear, right? Look for more products coming soon. In fact, we'll probably list more of them today. Next on the list is COVID. Oh my God, it's the COVID. It's looking pretty sad, actually. Not particularly deadly. I mean, hopefully, most likely your immune system will be like, and you'll just smack it. It's made out of cheap Chinese plastic. And shout out to John Kotowski for sending me this video yesterday. I was almost in tears about 3 times while watching this. It's a spoof on We Can Dance by, is it Men at Work? I don't know who it is. Anyway, check out, I'm going to play a little clip here, enough to get not copyright struck for fair use. You really don't need to cover your face with a diaper all the fucking time. Yeah, so it's absolutely hilarious, and you should totally watch it. It's on the Dollar Vigilante. Shout out to the Dollar Vigilante. Perhaps get them to spend some of their crypto on our merch. Captain, sensors indicate censorship, fraud, political bias, and spyware emanating from big tech. Did you know? Were you aware of the little situation that's yeah, it's pretty bad. However bad you think it is, it's probably much worse. There's a class action suit. I guess you can collect $15 or something like that. I know Google was forced to set up a fund with about $7.7 million. In Europe, they were fined $5 billion because of their Android operating system and how pathetic it is with its pre-installed junkware. Let's talk about SEC co-director Stephen Piken to abruptly leave the agency on August 14th. Why are we talking about it? Because of all the fraud coming from big tech. Now, during his tenure, the agency says over $13.5 billion in disgorgement and penalties was obtained by the agency. A confiscatory... anyway. The co-director of the agency's enforcement division picks up and leaves the agency days after Jay Clayton kisses Musk's you-know-what on CNBC by saying he has no comment about Musk's crazy and reckless remarks regarding Tesla. Trump has signed a 45-day phase out of TikTok. Now, I don't care because I don't use it. Also, WeChat will be banned in 45 days. Why? Because it threatens to allow the Chinese Communist Party access to Americans' personal and proprietary information, potentially allowing China to track the locations of federal employees and contractors, build dossiers of personal information for blackmail, and conduct corporate espionage. Okay? Which means TikTok and WeChat, in 45 days, you're fired. We've put in your 6 weeks notice. So in 45 days, you're fired. Because you're cheap and you're Chinese and you're plastic. Cheap Chinese plastic made from stolen American technology. Okay? If you follow us on Facebook, you may have seen this post yesterday. Read this one if you haven't. It's very lengthy. We read hundreds of pages of emails that Congress collected from the biggest tech companies in the world. Here are the most revealing things. They were a little guarded in their response, and I won't tell you what Sundar Pichai had to say. Okay, maybe I will. Anyway, CNBC dug through a whole bunch of the released pages, and it includes some interesting monopolization of certain industries. For instance, did you know that Google owns Motorola? Yeah. Anyway, Google's sprawling business has attracted antitrust scrutiny on multiple fronts. Congratulations, Sundar. Regulators have looked into Google's search business, online advertising platform, and Android mobile OS. Here's what they might be looking for. Well, it goes deep, deep, deep. Search, advertising, Android, YouTube. It's quite extensive. If I were Sundar, I would promptly break Google into all of its different business units, as some of them are very useful, such as Google Maps, and others are complete nonsense, like Google Search. Anyway, congratulations, big tech. You can't break the internet, but the internet can break you. Deal with it. If you'd like to ever hit us up with a breaking news story or something, feel free to leave me a text, or you can even call at the smAsho VoIP line. It's country code 1, area code 610-936-9799. That's country code 1, area code 610-936-9799. Let's talk about cosmology real quick. We've never seen a star get born or die. This particular star produced a lot of calcium in its supernoval, quote, end of life, end quote, explosion. However, without the explosion, we wouldn't even know anything was there. Not even Hubble could see it. It was likely a white dwarf or very low mass, massive star. A very low mass, massive star, says Jacobson Galan. Both of those would be very faint. In any case, there's probably still a star in the center of this calcium-rich system, but it's very interesting that so much calcium was produced, it's causing cosmologists to believe that possibly heavy elements are created in places besides the cores of stars. So it is progress in some respects. It wasn't just calcium-rich, it was Richie-rich. Anyway, supernova 2019 EHK is an interesting supernova to read about. It's probably all over the science wire. I don't know. Let's talk about carbonyl sulfide. Somebody has determined that humans are producing more than we thought. So, and we can use an isotopic approach to determine that. Now, when they say oceanic, what they mean is carbonyl sulfide coming out of underwater volcanoes, seamount volcanoes. And in any case, any further understanding of the sulfur cycle is a good thing. And yeah, I don't know where I was going with this, but this does have to do with the supplement that we sell on Amazon, methylsulfonyl So if you want to eat some of the byproducts of carbonyl sulfide, through a series of chemical reactions, this stuff turns into MSM in your food. Some food, if it's fresh enough. Which is why it's a good idea for Americans to have some supplementation if you're going to eat crappy food. Make small tweaks and try to fix your life in various different little ways, one thing at a time. Anyway, using the isotopic approach, we believe that there's more anthropogenic carbonyl sulfide, which, by the way, is a global cooling gas. It causes cloud nucleation. It also causes plants to grow better. And one other good thing about this article is that it actually cites the fact that plants breathe out carbon dioxide. So, carbonyl sulfide is the most stable and abundant sulfur-containing gas in the atmosphere. It's derived from both natural and anthropogenic sources. And it's key to scientists investigating how much carbon dioxide plants take out of the atmosphere for photosynthesis. So, you can't just measure the photosynthesis because plants also release carbon dioxide through respiration. As I've cited repeatedly, after plants use carbon dioxide to make sugar through photosynthesis, they have to consume it through the process of cellular respiration, just like you do, except without the photosynthesis part. Anyway, carbonyl sulfide, here's what it looks like. Gotta love that carbonyl sulfide. And this causes cloud nucleation, by the way. It is a global cooling gas. Let's talk about the shape of the solar system. The Troller system. Just another article about how it's shaped like a deflated croissant. And I find this very likely, as it has to do with the way magnetic field force lines are and the way the heliosphere likely looks a bit like the magnetosphere. So that's I think that's probably a thing. And there's a lot of conjecture as to how it's shaped. I would expect long, protruding jet-like features to come out of the poles. Something like this, actually. This right here is the way I would expect the heliosphere to be shaped. And you see that looks like a sort of a deflated croissant. This is more of the cometary style. And this is an actual star here, so it's very hard to see what it's shaped like from inside. But we do have some instruments working on it, such as the Drive Science Center and IMAP, slated for launch in 2024. But I believe that's what the heliosphere is probably shaped like. And it's cool that we have a good view of it from a different star. Have you heard about the shallow lightning on Jupiter and the slush balls? The, what do they call them? Mush slush? Slush mush? Slusho mush? Anyway, some interesting insights into the atmospheric situations that go on Jupiter. Perhaps have a read about that. This one is from the SciTech Daily article. The shallow lightning and mush balls. There you go. smAsho mush balls. By the way, pick up some merch if you haven't. It's at the Smash store. You can link here from smashomash.org. It's teespring.com/store/smash-store-5. It is linked below the videos also. Pick up some merch. Get yourself a I survived a global pandemic so far shirt in gold. Pretty sure that's gold, folks. And here ends another Smash Light section. And don't forget to visit the other links. And we'll be back again soon. Oh my god. Smasher price, it's my first pandemic. Let's get back to data. There's the Gos Magnetometer data. It's looking fairly smooth, and we're still in the North Pole current sheet. The South Pole looks like it has lost some power there. So, South Solar Polar Field most assuredly has lost a little bit of juice, as we don't see it coming through here and charging up the current sheet. It could also have something to do with the physical nature of the current sheet. Keep in mind the data is nearly 2 hours old, and it can change suddenly with absolutely no warning. Next, looking at the line of sight field plot, which shows the B field, the interplanetary magnetic field on which you live, in blue. And again, not a lot of pull upward here toward the North Pole from that sunspot. A little bit surprising there. And let's continue on with more data. We don't want the video to be too lengthy. We're seeing significantly higher levels of electron flux here, which is kind of good and kind of bad, as it could cause damage to satellites. And we've seen warning levels here the past 3 days. Our patrons know we send them electron flux warnings. It's one of the value-added services of opening up your moldy moth-filled wallet and sending us a couple bucks per month. Next, looking at the total air column here. Here's a total electron content forecast. And your main GPS errors will be around the equator around noon. We don't see any significant anomalies here otherwise. Here's the electron forecast model. Let me just press refresh and make sure that's the latest image. There you go. And here's just the ionosphere layer. And this will help you earthquake forecasters, I think. Maybe you won't have to go through all these tabs yourself. Here is the image from 8:15 Universal Time. Here's where stuff is in the solar system. I would note that Earth has moved past the Jupiter-Saturn conjunction here, and we haven't seen any catastrophes, major coronal mass ejections. What's up with all you people who are forecasting a disaster when the Earth is in line with the Sun and Jupiter and Saturn? I assume you've gone back into the woodwork wherever you came from now that your theories are completely and utterly incorrect and disproven once again, especially since you can't explain the physics behind the mechanism. Enjoy that. Here's what's going on above my head. I always like to know, so I like to use in-the-sky.org to make myself sky charts. I face mine to the south. Why? because I'm currently facing the south, and so is my couch. So it helps me to visualize what's going on up there. If you're up before dawn, you may see the third brightest object in the sky. My favorite planet, Venus. Even though my astrological planet is Mars, I really don't care. And we saw a bunch of earthquakes here, including one over a 6 magnitude. And a quarry blast of a 3.0 magnitude at Utah. Anyway, starting things out, a 4.8 deep quake at Papua New Guinea. Here's a deep quake at Fiji, a 4.7 at 154 kilometers. Here's a deep quake at Japan, a 5.2 at 372 kilometers. Here's a very shallow quake up on a hill at 2,000 meters above sea level. Here's a 6.3 at the Prince Edward Islands region, and that is indeed the largest quake of the past 24, 6.3 on the Richter scale. And there you go, so a little uptick in earthquakes there, a couple deep ones, one significant one. Looking at volcanoes to see Nishinoshima producing a 13,000-foot plume, Tokono producing a 7,000-foot plume, Carinci producing a 14,000-foot plume, so that one's back on the list. Popocatépetl, no volcanic ash observed. Please don't pole vault the caldera or tightrope over it. Sangay exploding, flight level 200, 20,000 feet. Revenador exploding, flight level 160 there. And Sabancaya, intermittent puffs and explosive activity, is producing a 27,000-foot plume of ash. Please don't attempt to do a back handspring over the caldera there. Next, looking at weather.gov's map, and we still see some flooding warnings. Let's refresh and make sure that's legit, and there you go. I'm actually under flooding warnings now. Next, looking at the pressure maps here on windy.com, we're going to advance this via the GFS forecast as to where it will be tomorrow. We'll pause it around noon my time. And if you're a new viewer wondering where I'm located, it's Lehigh Valley, Pennsylvania, practically within smelling distance of New Jersey. And it stinks. No offense to you Jersey residents, it's because of your government. Nullschool.net, looking at flight level 25,000 winds to show you the jet streams, which are all over the place and totally jacked up. And we've got north to south, and we've even got some jet streams moving east to west, which is incoherent, like the entire northern hemisphere's jet streams, which are barely coherent. Next, looking at the eastern world's jets, there's the eastern world jet stream scenario. And check out the funky bends over Australia. Southern Australia's got some bizarre stuff going on, and they're probably getting some extremely variable temperatures here between eastern and western. Next, looking at lightningmaps.org, it's where I like to go when I hear thunder. Or you could go to blitzortung.org, it's a slightly different format. And we've got some lightning striking terrestrial U.S. Hey Tulsa, hey Oklahoma City, there's thunder rolling in. By the way, the ammonium nitrate that blew up Beirut's ports was about 2,700 tons, not 2.7 tons, 2,700 tons. So you're talking about 54 million tons of ammonium nitrate, the same fertilizer that was used to destroy the Oklahoma City Federal Building. Next, looking at water vapor maps for Europe and Africa. How about water vapor maps for the Far East and Oceania? Oh my God. Australia's getting some funky weather. Next, water vapor maps for the Americas. There you go. And I'm told we're getting some incredibly cold winters in South America, especially western South America. And here's a U.S. Doppler radar map, courtesy Weather Underground. Some heavy storms over South Dakota, as well as Kansas. Hopefully nobody ends up in Oz. Next, going to the NASA GOES Interactive Weather Satellite. Once again, here's a U.S. water vapor map, and it looks like this weather's going to scrub up quickly. I think the jet stream is going to push some dry air and push it through. Let's get an idea of what's going on above my head for once before we look at South Dakota. Huge pressure gradients happening there and some frigid air. Not the refrigerator. Frigid air, not Frigidaire. Anyway, there's what's going on in the Mid-Atlantic region. And this rain might take its good old time, as this moist air in here is going to weaken the jet stream's flow. It's going to slow the jets. And talk about being cooled by the jets. Your jets may be being cooled in South Dakota right now, as it's looking pretty harsh. Check out the streamers coming out of this. By the way, the deadliest part of these storms in the northern hemisphere, folks, is the northwest corner. So have an idea where this stuff's going. Perhaps watch our videos. Just saying. Thanks, Smash Team, for tuning in. It's time to vanish. And implore you to share on your social media. Anyway, thanks for flying American Smashways. Please keep your head and arm inside the Smash plane at all times. We're going to be looking at the 193 angstroms view, as well as the intensitygram and the colorized magnetogram. So once again, we're getting a blurry image each day. And it's enough resolution. That's fine. There's a sunspot 2770, and it's still a beta class sunspot. It's gained a little bit of complexity, but not significant size of the main umbra, which is this North Pole one right here. And here you'll barely even be able to see the trailing umbrae because of that blur, and it has to do with probably the moon moving in between the SDO and the sun. Here's a 48-hour 193 angstroms view, and I think this diffuse coronal hole down here is causing the phi angle to hover around 180 degrees as it's orienting those incoming solar protons. Thanks for tuning in. We are out. It's about that time. Welcome to the Neo-Renaissance. Please support the channel as we're tanking by visiting our links and purchasing our products. Or consider becoming a patron, or how about both? Anyway, since it'll never be now again, may that solar wind be at your back and that atherosclerosis absent from your arteries and that covidiocy absent from your multiverse.